Welcome, Robbie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you. Thank you for making us part of your junket. I know you're doing a bunch of interviews for this. Congrats on the movie, by the way. I hear you guys getting some great press. But I want to talk to you about this film because oh boy, um, it's a lot of movie and a lot of stuff happens in it, and I don't want to spoil anything, obviously. But for those who haven't seen us, can you give us like a little setup about it, like what happens in the film?
Yes, a group of friends goes out to the Mojave Desert to shoot a music video and kind of like catch a tan and like listen to some tunes and sing, and then something bad happens to them that they were not expecting. And I usually keep it pretty vague like that. I'm not a fan of um a spoiler. So I like going into movies blind. So that's usually how I describe it.
Sure. I mean, yeah, things happen. Um, it's a very horror movie type premise. You got, four young people going out into a desert. What could possibly go wrong? What I was curious about was what the inspiration was for it. Um, I mean, hopefully none of this actually happened, but what was the inspiration behind the story?
One very strong idea from the beginning was something horrible can happen when you least expect it and just kind of tear everything apart. Um, so that's something that I think most people experience at some point, whether it's a death or a car accident. So, something really awful can come in and just totally fuck up your life. Um, so that was an inspiration. Other than that, I wanted to make a found footage movie because I knew I could make one on my own and kind of get my career rolling. And the title Outwaters is where I built the story from. So the title is kind of where I started.
What does the title mean for people who don't know?
It's not a real word. It's inspired by the word outlands, which can mean like a distant region, a distant country, distant part of the country. So I thought Outwaters with all the water. That's my jersey coming out with waters. Different meanings could be even further than that. So even for me, Outwaters means even further than further.
So you mentioned you want to make a found footage movie. Were you a fan of found footage movies? Was this like, did you feel like this was the best style to capture this story, or was it strictly like this is the budget we got and this is the type of movie we need to make if we want to get this done?
It was more that, although I certainly built the story around knowing that it was going to be found footage. I mean, I'm a fan of found footage if I think it's a good movie, like any other movie. At the end of the day, it's just a film, so it just depends on whether I think it's like good or not.
Were there any particular found footage type movies that you inspire? I mean, because let's face it, since like Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity, um, these types of movies, we've had X number of found footage movies.
The original Blair Witch Project is a
That was that was a big inspiration for you
yeah. Ever since it was made, I it's one of my favorite films.
because we've had so many of these different types of found footage movies. What makes this one special?
Hopefully, because it goes back to the roots of the footage being feeling found as opposed to a polished, glossy Hollywood thing, which I think a lot of found footage movies these days can feel like. They're shot on really beautiful cameras, and there's conversations that you would never have on camera that are there for exposition or plot. So if you're seeking something that hopefully, if I've done my job well, feels authentically found, which to me is the point of found footage, then this might be a good thing to watch. Also, I tried to like have some pretty cinematography in there.
Yeah, I noticed that you've got some Terrence Malick esque type stuff in there. Was he an influence?
100% the pitch, if I were giving it in a pitch meeting, would be like it's like Blair Witch Project, but like if Terrence Malick went to hell. Not that I'm comparing myself to Terrence Malick. That's the pitch.
I think that's what kind of makes the movie unique. And you're right. We do see a lot of these found footage movies, and it's like, oh, the camera they just happen to have is like an Arri Alexa, or
Oh wow, it looks like every other movie. So weird.
was that challenging in a way because like, okay, great, I can do a found footage movie, and that helps me budget wise, but now I've got all the pitfalls of a found footage movie to negotiate. Was that part of the challenge in trying to get the movie made?
I don't necessarily see them as pitfall. I mean, I know what I don't like about bad found footage movies, which is typically people arguing obnoxiously, people like giving a bunch of exposition, people feeling like they're even if they're good actors, feeling like they're acting in something that's supposed to feel totally authentic. Um, and the camera rolling when it shouldn't be. Like when so I had to but I started making this with all of those in mind and yeah, so it was more like kind of fun to find ways around certain cliches.
The film is set in the Mojave Desert, right? But did you shoot it there?
Yeah. I mean, different areas of different deserts, yes. But it was technically the Mojave. Yeah.
And what are some of the challenges of shooting there?
Mainly wind. In the wide open spaces, there's a lot of wind. That's about it. Oh, going to the bathroom, finding a place to go to the bathroom.
I can imagine the heat as well.
That wasn't so much of a big deal because it's the desert, so it's, like, kinda dry heat, it's not, like, disgusting, muggy, humid heat, so it could get really hot sometimes, but it wasn't really challenging. We also, like, had water to dump on ourselves if we were it was almost like a mini like, we were pretending like we were in the Bahamas or something, just kinda, like, lounge and, like I brought a fold-up dog pool with me and dumped gallons of water in to kinda, like, chill and drink some tequila out in the desert, so it was kinda like vacationing.
Did you have a big crew for it?
No crew, just me and the actors.
Wow.
One there were 2 days where a friend came out to help with a specific shot. Um, Brian Bullard, uh, came out as technically crew for, like, 2 days, so that was fun. But no, there was no, like, crew or equipment, really.
I imagine the other part of the challenge would be putting this whole thing together. Like in terms of like with the edit, did it feel kind of like you're putting together a documentary?
I wanted it to feel like raw footage, so the editing was super interesting. I learned a lot from Lars von Trier's editing, I learned a lot from over the years. So that was probably in my head. And then watching some films and documentaries that felt very found, and then just trying to use logic to decide what was in the remaining footage, if that makes sense.
I know that certain people, this is not going to be for everyone, but what impact do you want this to have on audiences?
Hopefully, I mean, I made it to hopefully be people to feel adrenaline or scared or just enjoy the watching it. So I'm hoping that people that are excited to watch it enjoy watching it. That's really all. And I know, I feel bad for the if someone's really excited about it and then they don't like it, I feel a little guilty. But I think for the majority of people, they should be able to get some kind of experience out of it that's hopefully unique.
For people who want to know more, where can they find info online?
The best place is the Outwaters Twitter, which is just twitter.com/the Outwaters, or the Instagram, which is at the Outwaters. That's where they can stay up to date on info for this particular film.
Thanks so much. Good luck with the theater run and VOD and all that stuff. I wish you a
Thank
lot of
you.
luck, and hopefully you'll come back for the next movie.
Oh, I'm around. Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.